It's Neil here from Total Wellness Club, welcoming you to episode number 22 in our video series, where we're looking at what helps you get healthy and fit and stay healthy and fit. About a year ago, I was inspired by one of my mentors, Roger Hamilton, to begin illustrating my own journal. It's been quite useful because as I've been looking at health and well-being, and I've spent hours planning and sketching out and drawing pages, I've really understood what I've been thinking and learning about at a deeper level, and it's stayed up here for a lot longer, and it's helped me to instill some of these ideas more as habit. What I'd like to do today is to share with you a couple of pages where I've been exploring health and how the emotions and what we say to ourselves up here can affect our well-being. So I'd like to share that with you right now. So here it is. The thought began one morning when I woke up actually, and I was thinking about how the universe breaks down into uni and verse, one song basically. And I was thinking about, well, what's my part within that song? And that maybe then start to think of a musical scale. And I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Esther and Jerry Hicks, but I've added into this their emotional vibrational scale. The emotions kind of like ranging really at the bottom from things like fear and desperation, insecurity, jealousy, rage, hatred, revenge, anger, and then at the top, joy, knowledge, love, appreciation, passion, eagerness, positive expectation and belief, and then things like pessimism and boredom in the middle. What I was aware of is that when we're, from personal experience, when I've been down the bottom end here, and I've been struggling with things like anger and jealousy and things like that, I am quite resistant to change. I'm also not very aware of opportunity to change. Whereas when life is better and you're more in tune with the things that are happening at the top here, you're sort of more now focused and more aware of what's going on, and your ability to change, adapt and flow with new situations. You're a lot more stronger, emotionally resilient. I then looked at, in terms of sound frequency and musical notes. Well, I thought in a song, it's not just one note. There's a kind of chord which you would hold down. And I was thinking, well, what would be my usual way? What would be my usual notes? And I can see myself quite often doubting myself. So I would probably say that typically about as low as I would go on this scale. At the top end, I probably spend a lot of time in optimism and chipping away at belief and positive expectation. That's where I spend most of my time. So I'm between these two things here, which gives me kind of my range, if you like, of normal operations. And what I wanted to do was to see if I could shift that this year. And I'll tell you how I've been working on that in just a second. But moving across here, I began to look at sort of like the sound frequency in terms of megahertz. And the research that I did showed that at 80 megahertz, we reach the state of genius, whereas at 25 megahertz, we reach the state of death. Not so great. And in the middle here, at about 57 to 60 megahertz, we have sort of illness and disease setting in. Something that I was aware of, I experimented with this, when I was aware that there was some cold symptoms doing the rounds. I deliberately tried to avoid stress because as my body got stressed, I was aware that the symptoms of a cold would then come out. And there were several occasions where I totally managed to avoid any kind of cold flu symptoms coming out. And there were a couple of occasions where I was unable to avoid it because there was something that required me to rush and stress and put my body under pressure, which then causes symptoms to come out. So it's totally possible, if you're maybe around this sort of area between 57 and 60, if you're aware that there are some symptoms there and you can manage yourself through those, you can probably avoid getting the rest of the illness. I then also looked at the chakra system. You may or may not be familiar with this. It's an ancient teaching, thousands of years old. In fact, I'll add a link to an article just down here, and you can read more on chakras if you want to. But just basically, 7 energy centers within your body. At the base chakra, it's mostly about survival and basic needs. At the highest level, it's about connection to a greater kind of source and knowledge. Links across really over to here as well, quite nicely at this top level. And then I was looking at the sounds that each of the chakras makes through our body, hence the little notations along the side here. So this was all about sort of emotion, really. But then I started to think of how what we think affects how we feel. I know it can work the other way around as well. Because what I became aware of is that as I was looking at this scale over here and seeing that, you know, most of the time, or some of the time, I was sort of like doubting myself or feeling disappointed. The other side of that is optimism and positive expectation, really. And I was thinking, well, how do I get more of that positivity into my mind so that I can live like that more often? So really this year, one of the things I've been working on is my belief system. I think that the subconscious mind is a massive, powerful machine. That, you know, you do something once and you can almost, you know, repeat it without thought. You know, our heart beats as a result of our subconscious mind. We breathe because of our subconscious mind. We can drive cars, you know, without necessarily thinking a great deal. You know, you change gears quite easily and you're aware of what's going on because your subconscious is at play. So what your subconscious mind can allow you to do is to do an action but free up your mind to think. The problem is that when you free up your mind to think, often what happens is negativity creeps in. For example, you might be doing something that you've done 100 times before, but today you just by accident drop that thing. And as soon as you do that, the subconscious mind goes, oh, you fool, you idiot, you something or other. And then that thought, if you do something else again quite soon afterwards, suddenly it's it's not just a bad thing that happened. Now suddenly you may be an idiot, or maybe having a bad day, or maybe it's a bad week, or a bad month, or a bad year, and so it kind of just proliferates. But it doesn't need to, because if you take that event in isolation and just treat it as it is, there's no need to beat yourself up about it. So one of the things I've been working on this year is looking at how I fill my mind with more positivity. And what I've done is I've looked for the dozen phrases or sayings that put positivity into my mind on a regular basis, and I make sure that I'm repeating these phrases several times each day. So as a result of this, a result of repeating those phrases, I can stop doubting, I can stop having personal doubts, and therefore I can spend more of my time in positive expectation and belief, because my belief system is a lot stronger than it used to be. So I hope that my sharing some of my journal with you has been helpful. Please comment below, tell me what that's inspired in you. If you've enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to the channel and follow along with us, and I'll see you in the next episode.